Hello, this is Earl Nightingale, and I'd like to tell you about the magic word. The experts call it the most important word as far as the results we get from life are concerned in this or any other language, and the magic word is attitude. Attitude is defined as the position or bearing as indicating action, feeling, or mood. And it is our actions, feelings, or moods which determine the actions, feelings, or moods of others toward us, and which control to a surprising extent our success or failure. It is then our attitude toward life which will determine life's attitude toward us. Now, what does this mean exactly? Everything operates, of course, on the law of cause and effect. Everything we say or do will cause some effect. We're charged with producing causes. The effects or the rewards of our actions will take care of themselves. That's why I say success can be guaranteed and will come to us every time if we live in a certain way. Good attitude, good results. Fair attitude, fair results. Bad attitude, bad results. You see, each of us shapes his or her own life, and the shape of it is determined by our attitude, the attitude we hold most of the time. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's not quite that easy. For most of us, learning this new habit takes time, but once it's mastered, our daily lives will become as changed as if we walked out of a dark tunnel into the bright, clear light of day. A person with a poor attitude toward learning, for example, in school or afterward, isn't going to learn very much until he changes his attitude. I know you can think of examples of this in your own life. If we take the attitude that we cannot do something, we generally will not do it. An attitude of failure, and we're whipped before we start. So we know then that what we receive from life, what we accomplish or fail to accomplish, is due in large measure to our overall attitude. William James of Harvard said the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. To develop a good attitude toward the world in general, each of us must first develop a good attitude toward himself. We can't give to others something we don't have. So it is the attitude we take toward ourselves which determines our attitude toward others, which radiates to the world around us. When you see someone with a poor attitude toward others, you can be sure he has a poor attitude toward himself. He doesn't like himself very much. He's unhappy about something. A happy person reflects his happiness in his attitude. A person with a poor attitude most of the time is unhappy and frustrated most of the time, and he's a human magnet for unpleasant experiences. When they come, as they must because of his attitude, they reinforce his poor attitude, thereby bringing more problems and so on. He becomes a self-generating, doom-fulfilling cycle. But for the man or woman with a good attitude, the same principle holds true in reverse. Expecting the best, that's what they get. Why would a person persist in a poor attitude, expecting the worst? Well, we're so familiar with ourselves that we tend to take ourselves for granted. We tend to minimize what we can accomplish, the goals we can reach, and for some equally strange reason, we believe others can reach heights which we cannot. We tend to overlook the fact that there is enormous undeveloped potential within each of us, a great reserve of talent and ability which we habitually fail to use. There are millions of human beings living narrow, darkened, frustrated lives, living defensively, simply because they take a defensive, doubtful attitude toward themselves and, as a result, toward life in general. Attitude is the reflection of a person. What's going on in the inside shows on the outside. One's attitude is incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we must train it patiently, day by day. Now, for just a minute, let's talk about people, successful people, who go sailing through life from one success to another and who, when they occasionally fail at something, shrug it off and head right out again. No matter what a person does, wherever you find a person doing an outstanding job and getting outstanding results, you'll find a person with a good attitude. These people take the attitude toward themselves that they can accomplish what they set out to accomplish, that achievement is the natural order of things, that there's no good reason on earth why they can't be competent, successful. They have a healthy attitude toward themselves and, as a natural result, toward life and the things they want to accomplish. Because of this, they achieve some remarkable things and come to be called successful, outstanding, brilliant, lucky, and so on. They're quite frequently no more brilliant or talented than the majority of people by whom they're surrounded. But they have the right attitude. They find their accomplishments not too difficult simply because it seems so few others are really trying. really believe in themselves. Successful people come in all sizes, shapes, and colors, and in widely varying degrees of intelligence, background, and education. But they have one thing in common. They expect more good out of life than bad. They expect to succeed more often than they fail. And they do. When you want something worthwhile, take the attitude that there are a lot more reasons why you can have it than why you can't. Set out to earn it, go after it, work at it, ask for it, and 9 times out of 10 you'll get it. Now think about this. Our environment, the world we've created around us, is really a mirror of our attitudes. If we don't like our environment, we can change it by changing our attitudes. The world plays no favorites. It's impersonal. It doesn't care who succeeds and who fails, nor does it care whether we change or not. Our attitude toward life doesn't affect the world and the people in it nearly so much as it affects us. It would be impossible to even estimate the number of jobs which have been lost, promotions or good grades missed, sales not made, marriages ruined by poor attitudes. But you can number in the millions the jobs which are held though hated, the marriages which are tolerated but unhappy, the parents and children who fail to understand one another, all because of people who are waiting for the world and others to change toward them before they'll change, instead of being big enough and wise enough to at least make a test which will prove where most of the trouble lies, in poor attitudes. All right, so a successful attitude will help to bring us the success we seek. But just how does a person get this kind of attitude? The easiest and most effective means of forming a good attitude habit is to begin conducting yourself as though you have a good, positive, expectant attitude toward life. If you've never tried it, you'll be amazed at what happens. Remember, actions trigger feelings, just as feelings trigger actions. Not long ago, I read a line which went, "Life is dull only to dull people." That's true. It could also have read, "Life is interesting only to interesting people," or "Life is successful only to successful people." You must first become mentally, from an attitude standpoint, the person you wish to be. A famous restaurateur was asked by a newspaper reporter, "When did you become successful?" And he replied, "I was successful when I was sleeping on park benches. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that I'd do it." You see, his attitude had been one of success, of expecting success, long before the material, the tangible rewards of success had been earned. The great German philosopher Goethe put it this way: before you can do something, you must first be something. Chances are you know people who seem to be what others call lucky. All kinds of wonderful things happen to them, and they give the impression of happily sailing through life, having a wonderful time, and accomplishing more in a year than most people do in 5. If you will conscientiously go about the test I'm going to recommend and concentrate on it every day, you'll find yourself beginning to join this small, happy, and extremely productive group of people. You'll find yourself becoming lucky, as they say, and most of your problems will take care of themselves. Of this you can be sure. The results will be nothing short of amazing. Now here's the test. Act toward the world, everything and everyone, with an attitude calculated to produce the results you want. That is, if the result you want is more success in what you're doing, act as though you are already in possession of that success. If you want others to treat you with admiration and respect, treat others with admiration and respect first. Treat every person as the most important person on earth. Do this for 3 excellent reasons. 1, as far as a person is concerned, he or she is the most important person on earth. 2, because this is the way human beings ought to treat each other. 3, by treating everyone this way, we form an important habit. There's nothing in the world that men, women, and children want and need more than self-esteem, the feeling that they're important, that they're needed and respected. They'll give their love, their affection, their respect, and their support to the person who fills this need. Have you ever noticed that the higher you go in any organization of value, the nicer the people seem to become? You see, the bigger the person, the easier it is to talk to him, to get along with him, and to work with him. Do you know why? It's because he has a good attitude. And the people with the best attitudes just naturally rise to the top. Now, he doesn't have a good attitude because of his position. He has the position as a result of his attitude. Act toward others and the world at large in exactly the same manner you want the world and others to act toward you. For example, treat the members of your family as the persons they really are, the most important people in your life. Carry out into the world each morning the kind of attitude you'd have if you were the most successful person on earth. and notice how quickly it develops into a habit. Almost immediately, a change will be noticed. Irritations that used to frustrate and annoy disappear. When some less informed person gives you a bad time, stay on the track. When someone cuts in front of you with his car or acts in any other manner that shows his ignorance and lack of courtesy, don't permit yourself to drop to his level. Don't let his unhappiness make you unhappy. When you begin to develop better attitudes, you should realize you already have placed yourself on the road to what you seek. You are well on your way to joining the top 5% of the people. You have prepared the ground and planted the seed. You've made of yourself an embodiment of that which you seek. Now, in summing up, here are a few points to keep in mind. First, it is our attitude at the beginning of a task which, more than anything else, will bring about its successful outcome. Second, our attitudes toward others determine their attitudes toward us. We're interdependent. The success we achieve in life will depend largely on how well we relate to others. Third, before you can achieve the kind of life you want, you must think, act, talk, and conduct yourself in all of your affairs as would the person you wish to become. Fourth, the higher you go in any worthwhile organization, the better the attitudes you'll find. Attitudes are not the result of success. Success is the result of good attitudes. Finally, the deepest craving of human beings is for self-esteem, to be needed, to feel important, to be appreciated. When you treat every person you meet as the most important person in the world, both of you will benefit. To make these important principles a habit-knit part of life, here are some suggestions. Since your mind can hold only one thought at a time, make those thoughts constructive and positive. Look for the best in people and ideas. Be constantly alert for new ideas you can put to use in your life. Don't waste time talking about your problems or your poor health unless you're talking to your doctor. It probably won't help you. It cannot help others. Radiate the attitude of well-being and confidence, the attitude of the person who knows where he's going. You'll find good things happening to you right away. Lastly, treat everyone with whom you come in contact as the most important person on earth. Start this habit. Practice it consistently, and you'll do it the rest of your life.